The people of Shang have already grown weary of serving the gods. From this day onwards, they will live their own lives. Off you go, Swan Chai. You shall use your pair of feet and walk for another 30 days back to inform Tian. How grotesque romance! Feng Xinji, my careers, and my hobby, hanging out together. Preface. From the preface to the first edition. 25 years ago, while a student at the University of Pennsylvania, I marveled at the clarity, completeness, and boldness of the anatomical illustration of the original German edition of Professor Johannes Sabat's TAS Atlas and their excellent 3-volume English counterpart, the recent edition of which were authored by the late Professor Frank H. J. Figi. It is a matter of the record that before World War II, these atlases were the most popular ones consulted by American medical students in the United States. The advent of the anatomical atlases, the shortening of the courses of anatomy in the medical school, and the increase in publishing costs. The larger edition of the Saboteur atlases have become virtually unknown to a full generation of students. During the past 20 years of teaching gross anatomy at the University of California at Los Angeles, I have found only a handful of students who are familiar with the beautiful and still unexcelled Saboteur illustration. This volume introduced several departures from the former Saboteur atlases. It is the first English edition that represents the Saboteur plates in a regional sequence, the pectoral region and the upper extremity, the thorax, the abdomen, the pelvis and perineum, the lower extremity, the back, the vertebral column and spinal cord, and finally, the neck and head. This sequence is consistent with the following in many courses represented in the United States and Canada, and one which should be useful to students in other countries. Many have contributed to bring the atlas to fruition. I thank Dr. David S. Maxwell, Professor and Vice Chairman for Gross Anatomy, and my colleague at UCLA for the encouragement and suggestion. I also wish to express my appreciation to Caroline Blaze and Louis Campbell, who spent many hours proofreading and typing the original text. I especially wish to thank Mary Mansour for constructing the index, a most lobotomous tax. I am grateful to Barbara Robbins for her assistance in typing some of the early parts of the manuscript, and above all, to her sister Julie, who is my wife and who makes all of my effort worthwhile through her encouragement and devotion. Clement D. Clementi, Los Angeles, California, January 1975. Contents: Chapter 1: Pectoral regional, axillary shoulder, and upper limb. Body regions: anterior thorax. Body regions: 1. Anterior thorax, superficial pectoral region including female breast, 2 to 18. Axillar, deep pectoral region, 19 to 27. Arteries and superficial veins of upper limb, 29 to 29. Anterior and posterior shoulders, muscle, non-vascular structures, abduction, 30 to 33. Upper limb, surface anatomy and dermatosis, 34 to 35. Upper limb, general muscle, vessels and nerves, 36 to 45. Brachial plexus, 46 to 53. Shoulders, anterior and posterior arm, brachium, muscle, vessel and nerve, detailed, 54 to 67. Forearm, general superficial, 68 to 69. Forearm anterior aspect, muscles, vessels and nerves, 70 to 79. Forearm posterior aspect, muscle, vessels and nerves, 90 to 93. Hand, dorsal aspect, 90, 94, 111. Bones and joints of the upper limb, 112 to 131. Cross section of the upper limb, 132 to 137. Anatomy of fingers, 90 to 93, 95 to 98, 100 to 105, 107 to 110 to 130. Chapter 2: The thorax. Plates. Surface anatomy: thoracic and abdominal wall, 139. Anterior thoracic wall, 140 to 149. Thymus, plural, long, stretchier and branchy, 150 to 165. Pericardium and heart, 188 to 191. Conduction system of heart, heart vessel, 192 to 195. Circulation of blood, 196 to 205. Posterior and superior mediastina, 196 to 205. Sympathetic trunk and vagus nerves, 206, 209. Thoracic and duct and lymphatic system, 210, 211. Frontal section and MRIs and cross section of the chest, 212 to 218. Chapter 3: The abdomen. Plates. Region of the body, diagram of the GI system, 219. Anterior abdominal wall, 220 to 231. How grotesque romance, my career and hobby, hang out together. Your Majesty, please reconsider. Tian permits no offenses. If you turn back now, you can still be a good ruler. Otherwise, all that awaits is your doom. My mind is decided. Case, cease your foul words. Yuck. Dare the gods to unleash their wrath on me. Blah blah blah. Chinese.
Each neuron has a voltage, which can change when ions flow in or out of the cell. Once a neuron's voltage has reached a certain level, it will fire an electrical signal to other cells, which will repeat the process. When many neurons fire at the same time, we can measure these changes in the form of a wave. Brainwaves underpin almost everything going on in our minds, including memory, attention, and even intelligence. As